This is episode 14. My guest today is Janet Suber, founder and CEO of GroundUp Africa. Janet takes us on her journey from the world of magazine salesmanship to the world of Africa, where she is taking an active role in creating change by helping to break the cycle of poverty in rural Uganda. Find out how Janet, her team, and partners are creating and accomplishing real change for women, children, families, and communities from Windy Hills Community Campus in southwest Uganda. You're listening to Extraordinary Work, conversations about creating change. I'm Terry Yoffe, founder of Try Coaching. Throughout my career, I've worked in many industries, from fashion to advertising to sales. I'm a certified executive, career and business coach, and a TV and podcast host. This podcast will connect you with people who work passionately, striving to make a difference in their corner of the world. I hope these authentic and inspiring conversations will help you channel your ability to create change. Welcome, Janet Suber.
Hello, Terry.
How are you, my friend, my colleague, my everything? And this is such an honor for me to have you on this podcast and for our conversation today, which is so important as we talk about many different things, women helping women, empowering. We're going to go into all of that, empowerment, and certainly your involvement and your passion for Africa, Uganda. So,
Honey, thank you so much. It's a bigger honor for me, believe me.
Wow.
You're a friend. We've known each other a very long time.
You're right.
A career path that actually has paralleled in so many ways as we've gotten to re-engage.
Right.
To see how our paths have been parallel and complementary. So it's just good to talk to you and see you. Thank you. It's an honor.
Thank you. Okay. So, Janet, tell us a bit about how you got to where you are.
It's a wonderful journey, I have to say. You're familiar because you had some of the same journey, which is, starting at Condé Nast many, many years ago as female executives in a company that was the premier content provider, media company worldwide. It was an honor and a privilege to be there. I think being a woman executive was an extraordinary experience, and being successful and failure was not an option was a great platform for how we live our lives going forward, not only in our careers, but of course in our personal life. So, I lived with passion and fortitude, and it's the same way that I live now. But after 25 years of being at Condé Nast, it was for a change. And so I started my own media rep firm, Insight Media Partners, which lasted about 3 years. But my success sort of outpaced my passion. It was time to make a change out of the industry to see what else was there in this great world that we live in. So I had some time for introspection and loved to travel, and knew that some journeys transition into life-changing experiences. And I had always wanted to travel to Africa. I saved that trip so I could go with my children and my husband. It wasn't the first trip. I took 8 or 9 sub-Saharan trips to the continent and found the magic in Uganda, the Pearl of Africa, which I know we'll go into a little bit more as we proceed. After traveling with a guide, Ham Juko, my partner, having met the locals with Ride for a Woman, even Dennis, who are also my partners, I knew that's where my change was going to occur. It's a magnificent, magnificent country. It is called the Pearl of Africa for a reason. So on my flight home, I had the notion, well, let's build a little farm and school, simple, but with ecology in mind, regenerative farming, a better school than I had seen when I was traveling. And fast forward, it ended up being this enormous idea that I realized I could execute with the help of my partners and bringing on this amazing woman, Elaine Berndes, who had this vision to build something bigger than had ever been done before. And so it is Wendy Hills Community Campus. We've trademarked EdgarTech programming, which is education, agroecology, and technology, bought 16 acres of land, are building this amazing women's incubator program, P1 through 7 school, agro-tourism, which is becoming quite a big subject on the continent, a clinic eventually. And, that transition from business to making social impact in Africa was actually so joyful for me because I got to combine social impact with the love that I had for Africa, going to gorilla treks, seeing the children every time that I went there, and just combining travel, social impact, and my career really got me in this place in my life now that is extraordinarily happy. It's the best times of my life.
That's quite a leap, right? I mean, I certainly had a little bit of a different path. I started my own business after I left Condi. And then, but I went into coaching, which is so very different. So my question is, and I'm sure you get this a lot, why Africa? Why not do all of this amazing things that you are doing here? And I'm sure you get that question a lot. Or in Timbuktu, or, all
the time. I mean, the people that have already joined the Africa Club, as I call it, who have ventured in this extraordinary part of the world, they understand because they've been there and they've gone into communities to experience it. But, you can't leave Africa. It's always in your head. And once you go and you have that journey back, half your heart is still there. It's very interesting. If you want to do global citizenry, if you want to make a difference in social impact, look to Africa. It's a very interesting continent. It may be poor, but it has a lot of resources and human capital. Human capital. And in that sense, it's one of the richest countries in the world. And you think about poor, but it's interesting that it's the future because the median age in North America is 35. Median age in America is 35. The median age in Africa is 18. 70% of the population is under 30, and that provides a tremendous opportunity. And given the right opportunities, innovation, education, access to healthcare, all of those things that you and I take for granted. This is the future. This is absolutely the future. If they're given innovation, they will prosper, and we will feel it this far away. We're already feeling it. Terry, I also think that social impact is not one-dimensional. I will always fight for democracy and pick a candidate to believe in, and rescue animals. And as global citizens, we're multidimensional. And I realized that there was enough energy and passion in me to say, okay, my love and the work I want to do is in very deserving Africa, and particularly in Uganda. But there's a lot of energy that we all have to make a difference in the world. My world just happens to be 9,300 miles away. But I think if you are a global citizen, we have an enormous capacity to make a change and help others.
So again, people would ask, well, you're doing this amazing stuff. How is it impacting here at home? You know, is there a connection? Do you connect the two? What's
Yeah,
your thought
so
on that?
it's an important question. Thank you for asking. So when you are doing this work in Africa, there is there's social impact that those here want to get involved in there. You know, I'm always struck by when I post pictures of my adventures in Africa, many women come forward and they say, how do you do this trip? How do I even start to explore Africa? What do I do? You know, maybe my spouse or my partner doesn't want to go with me. How do I begin this adventure? What they're really saying is, how do I go help there so I can bring back that social impact here? A lot of the things that we're doing there involve women and communities locally. The communities there are important, but the global world, the global community is here. It's in the United States, it's overseas, it's in other sub-Saharan countries. So, you know, people want to help, they understand the needs, and their work can be done here, and they understand the impact that they have there, and vice versa. And, you know, Bill Gates talks a lot about this, and some of my mentors who are doing social impact work on the continent, how important it is, because the impact that you're making there, and even in, say, global change, global warming, we have a regenerative farm that we're building on our land, turning, you know, dirt to soil, which is such an important subject, regenerative farming with our partners at Broadfield. But, you know, that impact is felt there, and it impacts our life here. So you know, the world is so small, Terry. Global impact is so small. And it's a big subject, but one person there can make a difference here, and vice versa.
So it sounds like there's an interconnection, if you will, between a Uganda and the US, and what's being done there can be brought back to helping something here.
Exactly.
Right, in the
If
US.
you look at, sorry to interrupt, if you look
That's
at
right.
our multi-generational campus and our agro-tech programming, education, agroecology, and technology, we've trademarked it because we know this is such a big idea and such an important concept that it can be brought to America. It can go to other countries in Africa, as I mentioned. Our work will be starting, and it is building in Uganda. But that subject, that trademark, is critical. It's our future. It is social content and you know, big ideas that I think I'm humbly suggesting that they can be adopted anywhere in the world, and they need to be, as global citizens trying to do something greater than we are.
So there's a lot of talk about women helping women, which is so important. You know, you hear about the old boys network. You don't ever hear about the old girls network, right? There's
right.
no such thing.
I mean, we had it, we just didn't talk about it, you know.
But so when you're working there and you're engaged, is it primarily helping women? Is it helping a community? Are the women, you know, learning and then pushing outward?
Yes to all of that. Actually, it's an important point. You know, GroundUp Africa has identified these pressing issues for women in our corner of the world. Not dissimilar to other corners of the world, by the way, but particularly since we've chosen to do our work in Uganda, you know, gender parity, perfect example, and the problems of healthcare, domestic violence, food substance, and you know, feeding themselves, and all these common sort of you know, poverty traps that we're in. So, and you recognize how much women contribute to the economy in Uganda, as example. 76% of the agricultural economy in Uganda is women, lesser of men. They are driving agriculture in Uganda, and that's how they make their living. So, if that's the case, then we want to do a regenerative farm to support women with our friends at Broadfield. And we've established the Bwindi Hills Community Campus Incubator Program. And what's interesting is it was developed by women. It's being implemented by women. We're engaging women peer-to-peer locally, but the interest globally, having, say, Terry come abroad and help us educate and mentor finance, business. You can coach there and help women create a better lives for themselves. They then help other women in their community take it back and make a better life for these 11 cells or villages that we serve. So the impact is now women's own businesses. They have their own plots of a farm. They can go into the value chain and go into the marketplace and make money through their agricultural wisdom and knowledge. We have moonshot opportunities for them so that a small idea can become a bigger idea. All of this under GroundUp Africa and under our EdgarTech programming motivates women to help women. Our team is predominantly women, and the help that I've seen and the volunteerism here in wanting to help the women there, it's just strengthened my women's network here. It's been fantastic how many friends who have wanted to help and will go over and help. Will go on these trips with me that we're creating through GroundUp Africa and take them there. And agritourism will grow. They'll want to work on the farm and they'll want to mentor these women. It's extraordinary.
And how does the incubator, talk a little bit about that?
So on our campus, there are, it's 16 acres.
Right. You said right.
And the majority of it will be demonstration farming with regenerative farming and bringing in our partners to teach women better methods of agriculture to increase their yields and their sustainability in their families. But it's a real campus. It's a women's incubator, ideation, moonshot campus where peer-to-peer local women helping each other. It's, female-led enterprises. We talk a lot about microfinance. There are partners that we're talking to now about sort of reinventing the term microfinance, helping women, with household income that they bring back into their communities. And again, it's peer-to-peer, but it's also global. So, I invite any of your amazing audience to come and bring their skills to upskill our women into, opportunities that we haven't even thought of yet. What we know is that we want to give them a fishing pole, not the fish. We want to give them, we want to aid them, but it's more about aiding them with knowledge, wisdom, creating change themselves, and that circle coming back into their communities and sharing it with others. I mean, our campus is multi-generational, cradle to grave. We did that intentionally, but it is driven in a lot of ways by the women in the community because they drive the community. And we are putting a lot of their human capital into our human capital. And it's been the joy in many respects to this journey.
It's, when I listen to you, your whole face lights up, really. And it's just so amazing that, when people think about creating change, which you have done, it kind of came about circuitously. It wasn't something that was top of mind that, here I am, I'm going this way. It was you transitioned from Condé and the publishing world, and happenstance, you went to a country that you just fell in love with, and you created change in that corner of the world by helping and building community, if you will. So, given all of that, what would you tell people about how they might think about creating change? I mean, might not be as magnanimous as that, but you did it in a very obscure, unintentional way to get started.
It's absolutely true. I mean, I always loved the notion of going to Africa. I've been fascinated with Africa, primate, safari, the symbiotic relationship that exists, say, in Uganda, that I think exists truly nowhere else in the world. I think back to a mentor that you may remember from Condé Nast. I won't mention names, but when you have knowledge and that turns into wisdom, it's an obligation to share it with others. And what happens with that is change happens. It's infectious, and then other people want to do it. And I tell people, think about the broad part of a pyramid and all the things that you may have wanted to do, that you dream about doing, that you have a passion about, that you have an interest in. Oh, I would never do that. It's not something that I would ever have the resources to do. I kind of felt the same. But the love of Africa, using my business skills to say, I don't want to apologize for running a nonprofit like a business. There's so many similarities in terms of, thinking big. Good isn't good enough. It's all about outputs. It's about KPIs. Don't apologize for, thinking about, hey, I'm in business, and, how would I transition to social impact? It's some of the same fortitude and the same energy. But I just, I say, turn your knowledge into wisdom, share it with others, create change, start somewhere. I hitched my wagon to some very talented, very devoted people, Ride for a Woman, even Dennis, Ham, Elaine, who's our global executive director. And, being inspired by them keeps me going every day. There's not a day that I don't wake up and think about it or fall asleep thinking about it. And I think that, that's the life that we should be leading now. There isn't as much runway, Terry, as we used to have. And, I would like my legacy to be, what did I do with the rest of my life?
Yeah, right.
How do I affect change in Uganda, on the continent, which in turn creates change here with my friends and family and those that have supported, thank God, these donors that have come forth, institutional and corporate donors who want to be part of this partnership. The interest in Africa is just overwhelming to create this. So start somewhere, get it down on paper and pencil, take the COVID time to say, man, what's possible? This pivot is not a negative thing. It's such a positive thing in life.
Right. So if anyone wants to get in touch with Janet Suber, her website is groundupafrica.org.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes,
Janet,
visit. There's a lot there. We just relaunched it. Really proud of it.
I want to thank you. I could go on, and I don't know when to stop, so we're stopping. But this has been such a pleasure. I have so enjoyed our conversation, and reconnecting with you has been the most delightful, the most rewarding part of all of this.
Thank you, Terry. I feel the same personally and professionally. I'm just delighted to rekindle this friendship. So thank you. Honored again to be part of this. Thank you so much.
You'll want to listen to our next episode with the founder and president of Excellius Leadership Development, Ed Everts as he lays out his strategy in working with leaders to become more successful by having them lean into the braver and more courageous side of themselves. Thank you for joining the conversation. For related content on extraordinary work, visit my website, trycoaching.com. I'll be back in 2 weeks with another conversation. Be sure to follow this podcast so you don't miss an episode. If this resonates with you, I welcome your rating and review. Always remember, when you work with passion and purpose, your work can become extraordinary. If you enjoyed this podcast, please leave a review on Apple Podcasts and subscribe to future episodes. Thank you for listening.